Earlier this week, we received news that Power Trip's vocalist Riley Gale had passed away. Thoughts go out to his family, friends, the band, and every metalhead out there. Let's get going on this episode. Yes, the Doom Machine continues its onslaught here on OnSUp. This time with Bell Witch. Yes, that's the name that should be on the tip of everyone's tongues as soon as you mention Doom. Ain't that right, Peter?
Yeah, I mean, their Mirror Reaper album, I think, had everyone talking about it. And it wasn't just for the music, it was also for the artwork, right?
Yup, absolutely. But times have changed since Mirror Reaper. Earlier this year, Bellwitch released Stygian Bough Volume 1, which was the result of a collaboration with their longtime friend Ariel Ruin. We got a chance to talk to Bellwitch drummer Jesse Shreibman, and yes, we do talk Stygian Bough, we do talk Mirror Reaper, and there's a lot of news in that interview that should make Bellwitch fans and even Doom Metal fans really happy. So, what are we waiting for? Let's begin. Joining us now on Horns Up is Jesse Shreibman. Did I get that surname right?
We're very close. It's Shreibman.
Shreibman. I'm so sorry for that.
Yeah, that's okay.
He, of course, is the drummer for doom metal band Bellwitch. Welcome, Jesse. How are you doing today?
Hey, I'm good, all things considered. How are you?
As okay can be. That's my go-to statement these days.
Yeah. Sometimes, yeah. It's an interesting road we're all riding right now. But I'm doing well.
Good to know.
Yeah, like all the marketing speak aside, I mean, right now it's raining here in Bombay and I hate the rain, so fuck this.
I love the rain. Right now
it makes for, the monsoons definitely make for excellent Bellwitch listening weather.
Yes.
That's true.
It was really hot. But it was really, really hot here today, so I'll take some rain.
But you know what, since we said that, Bellwitch, the weather kind of complements it, right? Let's just talk about the excellent latest release you guys put out. I mean, Stygian Bough, right? Volume 1. I mean, there's a long time collaboration with Bellwitch and I'm gonna butcher his name, I hope not, so let's Eric Mogridge, I guess.
Mogridge, nailed it. You nailed it.
Yeah. Okay. So who's also better known as Ariel Ruin, right? I mean, from the first album, you had a track together called Rows of Endless Waves, and it was a result of a collaboration, right? Now,
it was.
Ariel Ruin has been a frequent gig or tour buddy, I guess, also, I could say that.
Yes.
But at this point, how did the idea, to write and record a collaborative album come together? What really made you guys want to do this?
Well, I think that, so I can only speak for the records that I've been on, because of course I joined the band in 2015. So
of course, yeah.
Sort of at the beginning of the Four Phantoms tour cycle is when I joined, and then we wrote Mirror Reaper later. So my only experience until this collaborative record was writing with him during Mirror Reaper. And, I think basically once we had recorded Mirror Reaper and we realized, how cool Eric's contributions were to that, at least in my mind, I think we all felt like we could just kind of do more, but there's like a pretty specific framework that we work around in Bellwitch that wouldn't necessarily, I think, allow for the full extent of what we can all do together. Namely because, we're such big fans of his acoustic work as well, like as Ariel Ruin. And so for us, we were like, man, we could do a collaborative record and really explore music further with each other. And we could add guitar, which has never been done. And we can, experiment with that. And really it was super fun. And it was really, really natural. It took time to write because of our tour schedule, but it was always very productive, and it just was a cool fit. And, you know, I think that hopefully people can hear that on the record, that it felt natural and it felt like a true collaboration between the three of us. We all had really interesting new ideas on this one that we never would have necessarily done on a Bell Witch album proper. Yeah.
Yeah, and did the European tour in 2018. You guys did a special set at the Roadburn Festival, comprising of all the sets. I mean, all the tracks from the album with Aerial Ruin by your side. I mean, did that play a role in the latest record?
Yes, absolutely. I think that the framework that we sort of started the idea with was that we would use the songs that he had performed on sort of as a model and a starting point to where we could go with a true collaboration. So we wanted to try to keep it in line essentially with all of the other work that Aerial Ruin has ever been a part of with Bell Witch. So, you know, from my perspective, I think that you can kind of hear in some ways even a natural progression between, you know, his what he gave to Longing, what he gave to Four Phantoms, what he gave to Mirror Reaper. And if you listen to Stygian Bough, to me, it's kind of a culmination of those three elements. But then we also added guitar, and we're able to put some cool folk elements into it that we never really have at our disposal. And yeah, I thought it was really fun, and it felt successful, and I just hope people enjoy it.
Yeah, we certainly did enjoy it, which was all the more reason to come out and actually ask if you guys would want to talk to us about it. So
Totally.
tell us, how did the songwriting process work as such? Would you guys like jam off each other, or did everybody write parts separately and then try to bring parts together? Did one of you kind of assume the role of director or some such to achieve this one cohesive sound?
Right. I think the way I look at it is, so, you know, Eric and Dylan are the two songwriters, you know, in this collaborative process. Like, I have elements in the songwriting process, but usually that comes later in the sort of orchestrating and putting it together, and then I add a lot of layers with organ and, you know, synthesizer now and other things. So I think the way it started was Eric had a couple very simple acoustic ideas. And so like the intro to Bastard Wind was actually the first thing that was ever written for Stygian Bough.
Oh, okay.
And so that song, the first song, The Bastard Wind, was the first song we ever wrote. And it was the first time we'd ever worked together, and we had no idea what it was going to sound like. And then once we wrote that one, then we were kind of like, you know, let's make a really acoustic heavy song, you know, and then let's try to make a song where it's a mixture and just try to experiment with all of the different sounds that we have. So I think all of us probably would say that now that we've done a collaboration album together, you know, we called it Volume 1 because while we were working on it, I think we were like, well, we could definitely do this again, and we could definitely theoretically do it better because we had never done this before. And it's really fun because it has different elements than Bell Witch has. They're similar and they're comparable because it's the same members, essentially, but it's definitely a different intention behind it.
So what would you say were your expectations, you know, going into this album? And has the album delivered on your expectations?
Oh, yeah. I mean, for me, I feel this way about every record I've ever been a part of in my life. Is all you can do is try your best and do what you think you want to do, you know, like make music that you want to listen to, make music that you appreciate, and hopefully other people appreciate it. And you never know what people are going to like. So I think that for me, the response has been amazing. You know, we've gotten some really, really awesome reviews. Releasing a record right now is probably one of the weirder things I've ever been involved with also. Like, the pandemic has definitely changed a lot of our plans. We had some really cool tours booked this year. that we were going to be playing
Yeah.
for the first time with this lineup. So we're unable to do that. But the response has been great. We've people have bought a lot of records. We've seen incredible support, and I couldn't be happier about it.
Now, one thing that strikes me about all Bellwitch records is your album artwork. And, for the cover artwork for Stygian Bough Volume 1 is another great one. I mean, so this time around, you guys got Adam Burke. So what was your brief to him, as this was a collaborative record, right?
Yeah, so we all had discussions about what we wanted to do, and basically a lot of it, the cover art, a lot of it was just sort of very loose references to certain like lyrical stanzas that we thought were meaningful or like cool imagery. And we've all been a fan of Adam Burke's work. He's kind of a local guy from where we're from. He's from Portland, Oregon, and we live 3 hours from Portland, and we play there all the time. So, he seemed like a really cool. He's a great artist. He's amazing. He did he did everything that we asked him to do, and it turned out great. And we've been very lucky to work with some very incredible artists, and I never forget to be grateful for how much good art means for music. I think it really can convey an element to the music that you can't convey in music, because music isn't visual unless you're playing a show.
Yep, very well said. So, we've spoken about Stygian Bough Volume 1 quite a bit. We'd like to play a song from this particular album. Which song should we play and why that song?
Oh, man.
Yeah, this is usually the question that always gets our guests.
So, I mean, I guess in light with what we were talking about earlier, I think I'm always going to have a soft spot for The Bastard Wind for the first song, because we had so much fun writing it. Like, we really had no idea what we were doing. And I just think it's a very diverse song. There's a lot of different things going on at different points. And it's the first time that I've ever been in a band that sounded anything like that. And so I guess I picked Bastard Wind because it's a really good representation of where it started. And then, hopefully we can continue to grow from there.
Right. So let's shift gears a bit. I mean, we have to talk about Mirror Reaper. Uh, it's an absolute ambitious 83-minute long single song album. I mean, it
Yeah.
earned the band a lot of praise. But take us back to like post the release. Was there any discussion as how do we top this album?
Oh, yeah, I think that for me, the way I look at Mirror Reaper is, and again, this is just from my personal perspective, that was the first thing that I ever wrote in Bellwitch. So similarly to with Stygian Bough, Dylan and I had no idea what was going to happen. Like, I'm a very different person than Adrian was. And I have different influences. I have different ideas. I have a strong personality, which is a nice way to put it. And I think that like, we had no idea. So when we wrote Mirror Reaper, everyone thought we were fucking crazy. And like, the plan wasn't originally to write one song. It actually turned into its own animal at a certain point. But we didn't know how that was going to be received. Like I honestly thought people were going to rip on it because Adrian had just died and Dylan and I were super close friends with him. Like, it's hard for a two-piece band to replace a member who also does vocals. And I don't think that we thought it was going to work. So I think when Mirror Reaper, and I'm so grateful for the way it's been received, and I think it's amazing, when that happened, I think our take is sort of, well, now we can do whatever we want. Because if that worked, like no one thought that was going to work. And we didn't think it was going to work. And so like, but it did. So now I think that we try to take it as not as topping Mirror Reaper, but trying to grow, because he and I have grown a lot since we recorded that record. Like that, we recorded that record in 2017, and we've been touring. Yeah. And we've been touring extensively for those 3 years. And I think that I don't know if topping it will ever happen. I don't really know what that would look like or mean, but what I do know is that we're going to evolve from it. And I don't know, we're currently working on new material right now that is so far really, really awesome, and I'm super excited about it. And I think it'll be a good follow-up to Mirror Reaper.
Awesome. Personally, can't wait to hear it. But I have to say, an album like Mirror Reaper, it gets featured and talked about a lot because of the gargantuan kind of thing that it is, right? 183-minute long song. And not to take anything away from that fact, but do you think people get lost in these sort of trivialities as such, rather than talking about the music itself directly? I mean, it'll also become a thing where, and I hate to say this, but the cool metal fans will always look at a Bellwitch record now as, hey man, is this going to be another 80-minute long epic song?
Yeah, and I think that like my take on that is just that I don't really care that much what people like want us to do or think we should do in response to Mirror Reaper. I think that I think it's a great record. I'm super proud of it. But we're a band and we're gonna keep playing music and we're gonna keep challenging ourselves in the way that Mirror Reaper was a challenge. And there's a lot of different ways to do that. And there's a lot of different ways to challenge listeners. So I guess overall, I just, at the end of the day, want people to think that Bellwitch is a band that challenges its listeners. Like, you're not going to get something easy. You're going to get something hard. And not everyone likes stuff that's a challenge. And that's okay. Like, Bellwitch is a challenging band to listen to. I know that. But that's okay. And I like to revel in it. It's like we're doing something in a way that we find, meaning in. I guess, you know, it's music that I want to hear. You know, I like bands that I can fall asleep to sometimes. That's okay, you know.
Exactly.
Like,
Yeah, but I haven't really tried that out though.
you know, I don't know.
I have.
Yeah.
It happens. It can happen. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I digress, but you remember that collaborative album that Sano did once?
Oh, with
Yeah.
Alter, with
No,
Boris.
yeah, I think so. And I think it was just like the day I was having or whatever. And back then I had an iPod Shuffle, so yeah, I was listening to that and I fell asleep.
I love that. That record is so good. I love that record. I actually listened to that the other day when I was washing dishes.
Yeah, I mean, I
Yeah,
can see that
I mean,
happening.
yeah, I've done that with this with Stygian Bough.
Nice. Hey, you know, you got to listen to music when it works
Cleaning the
for you.
house, washing dishes. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good. That's
Sunday
good.
mornings.
Yeah, there you go. Hey,
Exactly.
yeah.
All right. Quick thing again on Mirror Reaper. I mean, one thing about that album was like, you know, you all introduced organ to your sound, and now we hear it on Stygian Bough also.
Yeah.
Are there plans to use, you know, more instruments or expand like your sonic palette, so to say, on upcoming releases?
Absolutely. We already have. Stygian Bough has synthesizers on it. They're very subtle, but yeah, I've adding the organ was sort of something that I really wanted to do as a way to make my presence in the band known in a different way than it being super obvious. And just sort of adding an element which would forever change the way the band sounded like post Adrian Guerra. Because I think it's important to like maintain his legacy in the band. And so that was why the organ ended up getting added in the beginning, is I just wanted it to be a little different. And then as I started playing drums and the organ at the same time, I've now added 2 more pedals. So and I've added synth. And so there is absolutely plans to add more layers to the band. And they're in the works currently.
Fantastic.
Awesome,
That's going to make
awesome.
mixing and mastering a bit of a challenge, but oh my God, I can't wait to hear that.
It makes live sound even more of a challenge.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
well, you could always run everything through backing tracks and only do your bits.
Oh no, we don't. No backing tracks allowed. No backing tracks allowed. Never.
Hit space bar.
Yeah, no, we prefer that the sound people get frustrated with us. It's more fun. It's just more fun that way.
All right.
I'm just
So, you know, I read in an earlier interview that you all did that all Bellwitch records are about life, death, and ghosts on some level. Uh, just to be a little more specific, what aspects of these subjects really serve as an inspiration for the music?
well, so obviously Dylan writes all of the lyrics.
Okay.
But speaking of my understanding and the way that I look at the band and just through my own lens is, and Dylan and I speak about it all the time with everything we're writing currently and for the future, is I think that, yes, there's always a ghost element. There's always a death element as sort of part of for consistency's sake. But I think for us and what we always end up discussing are sort of the dichotomies between life and death and what the unsettling feeling is, and those things that lie in the middle. So in terms of Mirror Reaper, that's why the Hermetic principles were brought up, and the as above so below theme is sort of, it's about dichotomies. It's not about truths. It's not about what death is. It's not about what life is, but it's about the fact that there are opposite and opposing forces always and forever. Life and death is just a lens and framework to look at the questions that life brings up. So I think in a poetic way, it's a really interesting way to illuminate just a lot of those natural feelings that people have in terms of feeling unsettled or feeling stuck in the middle, being afraid of life, being afraid of death, just a lot of, basically generalities, but they're very broadly applicable to all types of people.
Okay. Let's shift gears a bit, and I want to just direct the next couple of questions to you personally. How do you end up evaluating your performance once it's all done and dusted, once it's captured as such, both as an individual performer and as a band? What do you look for to help you know that, yes, this is the finished product? I don't need to add anything more to it.
I am of the opinion and school of thought that there is actually never a finished product.
So the deadline then.
I think for me, and it's really interesting, especially in these times where touring is not an option. I think that there's always that push when there's that pressure, and I think that can be really motivating. And that's usually what ends up determining when something's done. It's like, well, it has to be done. The Stygian Bough record, for example, we had a tour with Coffins from Japan that was booked for May that got canceled, and which would have been amazing because those guys are amazing. But
agreed.
Yeah, they're the best. But that got canceled, so the deadline went away. So then we're like, okay, we can kind of delay this record, and it kind of changes what finished looks like. So I think a very good example of that is Bellwitch was actually scheduled to record a new record in April.
Ooh, okay.
That I'm not going to say much about it, but what I will say is that got canceled, and that has really made us reevaluate the scope of what we're trying to do, how we're going to try to do it now in light of the fact that we don't have to tour for a while. And we actually have time to take, and we have time to rework and do those things that we normally wouldn't have had time to do. So it's been a really interesting paradigm shift for me as far as what finished means. And I think that that's a really good question, because I think, I don't know, in my experience, most bands I've been in, doesn't matter which band, there comes a time when everyone just kind of says, well, I guess we're done, and you want to move on. It's more about moving on than it is about attaining perfection, because you can never attain perfection.
Okay. I just think that it's unfair to use the word cancelled. I'm guessing everything is just rescheduled or postponed.
Oh, yeah, postponed. Excuse me. Postponed. Sorry. Yeah, I could use more positive word choices.
Okay. Next question here. Could you help us understand your mental state as such before starting off a Bellwitch song or whatever work associated with the band? Is there a specific mood or mind space that you have to lock into, or does it come just very naturally to you?
I think for shows, and I think particularly for when we were doing Mirror Reaper in its entirety, which was a feat in itself. None of us have ever played an hour-and-a-half long set. Like, I grew up playing in punk and grindcore bands that played 20-minute sets. Like,
How many songs in those 20 minutes? 24?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, too many.
Yeah. I play in a hardcore band. I play in a hardcore band too. So
nice. Yeah. So it's like, I think that for those shows, I really did have to prepare. I had to stretch. I had to get in a mindset where I was like, all right, this is going to take an hour and a half of focus, an hour and a half of, basically just consciousness, and I think that those were really interesting shows for me. But I think that when it comes down to it with Bellwitch, and one of the things that I really love about the band is Dylan is one of my best and oldest friends at this point. I've known him for a very long time. I've known him since I was, I believe, 20, and I'm 34 now. And so we've kind of grown up playing music together and playing shows together, even though we weren't necessarily in the same band together. And so luckily, it always just kind of feels really natural at this point. It's kind of just like I'm playing music with my buddy, and we don't talk, we don't say hello, we don't say goodnight, we don't say thank you. We do our thing, we get off stage, and people seem to enjoy it. So I think that like I try to just do my best and try to not be a perfectionist at the end of the day, because I can always, everyone's their own worst critic, and
Yep, that's true.
I
Okay,
I've just try to have a good time.
all right. So this is for the musician in you as such. Are there any limitations or boundaries as such with what you can do with the drums or the organs or the synths as such for the Bellwitch sound?
Absolutely. I think that we've created, obviously the, I don't know what the word would be, like the schematic or the rubric for the band,
Uh-huh.
because it is in the vein of Funeral Doom. So that is one of the rules of Bellwitch, is everything that we do is from a Funeral Doom perspective, which naturally limits the drums
Yeah.
and it limits the tempo. And then as far as the auxiliary elements that I've added, I've made rules: no computers allowed. We don't loop, no looping, no backing tracks. I don't use any triggers aside from the MIDI keys that I play with my feet. So we've kind of developed a clear intention and sort of way of limiting ourselves to like maintain a focus, I guess, without becoming too proggy, but still being able to fully explore like a very large variety of layers and different scales and octaves, because we have so many layers at our disposal now, as a two-piece band. So I guess the idea is to make as much noise and as much dynamics as possible with two people, where it can all be replicated live, without any particular help from anyone else.
So then does that mean that when you do collaborations, it kind of expands the horizons of what Bellwitch can be?
Yeah, there's less limitations, because I think that for us with Stygian Bough, at least, it didn't have to be Funeral Doom. We felt comfortable speeding up a little bit. We purposely let Eric take the driver's wheel vocally. We wanted it to have clean vocals. Dylan and my presence vocally on that album is very small. So I think that there's a lot of different things that we can do in that band, for sure, that are different. And I think that part of the reason why Bellwitch is what it is because we intentionally do that. And I think that with Stygian Bough, we're trying to create our new individual sort of intention on what that collaboration project, what are we trying to do in that? We just don't quite know yet. That was the first time. So it's definitely exciting and fun.
All right. You mentioned earlier that you're working on new music. You also said Stygian Bough Volume 2 is possibly in the works. Is there more that is in planned for Bellwitch that you want to tell us about?
The plan is we are currently working on a pretty large project. And we've been working on it for a long time. We've played some of it live even. I think people never really knew what we were playing when we were doing it, but we were sort of working out the kinks in what is part of our new material coming out. So we played some of that stuff on the tour with Neurosis. We played some of it on the tour with Mono. And so we're just kind of working it out. And again, we're just scheduled to record it in April, but we had to reschedule that. And I think now we're really just going to take some time and dig into it, because it's a large endeavor. I think it's going to give Mirror Reaper a run for its money in a lot of ways.
Oh boy.
And we'll see if anyone agrees with that. But from what I feel about it is I think that we've really expanded our sound, and what's really kind of a blessing in disguise about the lockdown situation is we really have time to dedicate to trying to write this thing, So we're just kind of taking that time, and that's all I know right now.
That's all we needed to hear, actually.
Yeah.
On that note, Jesse, thank you so much for sparing some time and talking to us. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you and to chat with you.
Absolutely, you guys, and thank you so much for having us on your show. And I hope you all stay safe out there and just keep kicking ass. So,
thank you. We'll try our best.
Thanks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Cheers, you guys.
Cheers.
Yeah,
Hands up.
Right, cheers. Hands up.
All right, see ya.
Ooh, new Belwitch coming soon. Are you excited?
Yeah. I'm kind of keen to see like how they go from this collaboration now back into Belwitch music. But then again, of course, like he mentioned, I'm sure with all their releases, Aerial Ruin will also be a part of it. So I'm keen to see what they do this time around.
What I'm really looking forward to is hearing all those new textures and possibly new instruments. I don't know. Like, I think Jesse will contribute a lot to the Belwitch sound without moving away from the Belwitch sound.
Yeah, definitely. It's going to be interesting to see how they incorporate new instruments, right? I mean, that's one of the things why a band like Belwitch is exciting, right? I mean, they don't stick to your typical formula of doom.
Absolutely true. Now, next week, yes, we are going to be talking to Aerial Ruin or Eric Mogridge. That's something to look forward to. While you're doing that, reach out to us. We are at honsupod.com or at honsupod on the Twitter. As always, I'm at Asmoani.
And I'm at Trend Crusher.
And this is Horns Up.
Horns up, guys.